All right, so let's take a look at this next one. Here's where we actually have two fractions. So of course you can solve this using the fractions. I want to get rid of them so I don't have to work with them. So if I look at the fractions that I have, remember we're finding the least common denominator between 3 and 4. So one way you can do that, remember we've done this before, is you can list out all of the multiples of 3, all of your multiples of 4, and find the least common multiple, and that would be your least common denominator. But for this one, you probably can do in your head. That number would be 12, right? We can, a common denominator between the two would be 12. So we're going to multiply this entire thing by 12. Now notice there are no parentheses, which means I'm going to multiply every single thing here by 12 to make this work and so that my fractions are cleared. So I'm going to do 12 over 1 times 2 over 3, which is going to give me 24 over 3, which is going to give me 8. Okay, so I'm left with 8 minus, now I need to do 12 over 1 times 3 over 4. And then we get 36 over 4, which is 9. So we're going to get 9x equals, and then I have to do 5 times 12. So 12 times 5 is going to give me 60. So I'm going to get equals 60. So now I've got an equation here that is a lot easier to look at, a lot easier to work with, and my fractions are gone. So I'm going to erase my work and rewrite my problem nice and neat. All right, so this is just a basic two-step problem. I'm going to start with subtracting 8 on both sides. I'm going to have to borrow 52, and then minus 9x. Divide by -9, divide by -9, and I'm left with x equals, I'm going to get a mixed number here, so I need to see, I know my answer is going to be negative because the 52 is positive and the 9 is negative. I'm going to see how many times 9 goes into 52. It'll go in 5 times 9 is 45. So we're going to have to borrow. This becomes 12. That becomes 4. And we're left with 7. So my answer here is going to be -5 and 7/9. All right, let's take a look at the next one. All right, this one here, we are definitely going to clear fractions and make this look a lot nicer. So remember, we're going to look at our two denominators here. I've got a 2 and I've got a 6. So what would be my least common denominator? That magical number would be 6, right? I can make 2 6, and then we already have a 6. So we're going to multiply the entire thing here by 6. Okay. So before I multiply -2.5k times 6, I definitely need a cartwheel here because anytime you're multiplying fractions, you need it to be improper. So we're going to do 6 over 1, and we're multiplying that by, okay, let's see what it's going to be improper. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2, which gives us 30 over 2, which is 15. So we are left with -15k. Now I need to multiply 5/6 times 6. So 6 over 1 times 5/6, which is going to give me 30 over 6, which is 5. So then I get a plus 5. And then lastly, I need to multiply 6 times -10, and that's going to give me equals -60. All right, so now I've got a problem here that I can solve. I'm going to subtract 5 on both sides first. So I'm left with -15k equals, and then this is going to give me -65 on my right-hand side. I'm going to divide by -15 on both sides, which will leave me with k equals, and this is going to be a mixed number again. So I'm going to see how many times 15 can go into 65. That will go in 4 times 15 is 60 with 5 left over. So I get 4 and 5/15, which that simplifies to 4 and 1/3. And it will be positive because both of our numbers were negative. A negative divided by negative is a positive. So 4 and 1/3 is what K equals here. All right, lastly, let's take a look at this one. Of course, you can always work with fractions. I'm going to get rid of mine because I think it's a little bit easier. So I'm going to multiply my entire thing by my least common denominator. So I'm looking between a 3 and a 5, and that's going to be 15. So I'm going to multiply all of these things by 15. So before I do that, of course, we need to make all of these improper since we are going to be multiplying them. So I'm going to write that right above it really quickly. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7/3. And then the other one is 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5/3. So that's what those numbers are as improper fractions. So to start off, I'm going to do 15/1 times 7/3. And that I can cross simplify here, right? 15 I can divide by 3 and get 5, and 3 I can divide by 3 to get 1. So then I'm just doing 5 times 7, which is 35/1. So I'm left with 35 minus, and then I'm going to do 15/1 times 5/3. Again, I can cross simplify here to get 1 and 5, and I'm left with 25/1, which is just 25. So 35 minus 25m equals, and then I have to do 15/1 times 3/5. Again, I can cross simplify. I get now I'm dividing both by 5, so I get 3 and 1 here. So I get 3 times 3 is 9/1, which is 9, so equals 9. So 35 minus 25m equals 9. Okay, just erased my work so we can solve. So draw your line. I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides, and that will leave me with negative 25m equals negative 26. Then I need to divide both sides by negative 25, which leaves me with m equals, I know my answer is going to be positive. I have to see how many times 25 goes into 26. It goes in 1 time with 1 left over. So I should get 1 and 1/25. Okay, now again, you don't have to use the method of clearing fractions. I just think it works out nicely. If you were to do it with your normal fractions, you should have gotten the same answer. Let me make that look a little nicer. You should have gotten the same answer if you had worked with fractions the whole way. All right, that's it.